We've all heard chilling stories that make us wonder, are they just fiction or is there something more? In this video, I'll share real events that happened to people and remain unexplained to this day. Get ready, because this is going to be truly terrifying. Mom, are you home already? When I was 15, my parents decided to go away for a weekend trip, leaving me home alone. I didn't mind. I loved the idea of having the house to myself. Friday night was uneventful. I stayed up late watching movies, eating junk food, and feeling like I owned the place. On Saturday evening, everything changed. Around 7 p.m., as I was lounging in my room, I heard my mom's voice echo through the house. "Johnny, come eat. Dinner's ready." I froze. My parents weren't supposed to return until Sunday night. My mind raced for a logical explanation. Maybe they had come home early. But there had been no car pulling into the driveway, no sounds of keys jingling at the door. Curious but cautious, I crept out of my room and called out, "Mom, are you here?" Silence. Silence. I slowly made my way downstairs, but the house was empty. The kitchen lights were off, and there was no sign of anyone. I convinced myself I had imagined it and went back to my room. Half an hour later, the voice called again, louder and more insistent. "Johnny, come eat. Dinner's getting cold." My blood ran cold. It was the exact same tone and inflection my mom used when she was getting impatient. I grabbed my phone and dialed her number. When she picked up, her voice was calm and cheerful. "Hey, sweetie, how's everything at home?" I stammered, "Are you here? Did you come back early?" She laughed. "No, we're still at the cabin, remember? Is everything okay?" At that moment, I heard faint footsteps in the hallway outside my room. My heart felt like it would explode. "Mom," I whispered, "someone's in the house." She told me to lock my door and call the police immediately. I did as she said, sitting in my room, shaking while I waited for them to arrive. The footsteps stopped, and an eerie silence settled over the house. When the police arrived, they searched every corner but found nothing. No sign of forced entry, no footprints, nothing out of place. They reassured me it was probably my imagination, but I knew better. That night, as I lay in bed, I heard a whisper by my door. "Johnny, come eat." My dog wouldn't stop barking, so I looked out the window. I work the night shift at a nursing home, and it's usually quiet, too quiet. But one particular night still haunts me. Around 2 a.m., I was doing my rounds when I heard one of the residents shouting. He was yelling from his room, his voice trembling with fear. "Get out of my bathroom. I told you to leave." I rushed in and found him sitting up in bed, his eyes wide with terror. When I asked what was wrong, he pointed toward the bathroom door. There was someone standing there. A shadow, no face. I checked the bathroom, but it was empty. I calmed him down and told him it was probably just a bad dream. 10 minutes later, another resident called for help. He was on the opposite end of the building, far from the first man's room. When I entered, he whispered, "Can you make it leave? It's standing by the door." Chills ran down my spine. "What did you see?" I asked. He described the exact same thing, a tall, faceless shadow. I tried to stay professional, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching me. I went to the nurse's station, turned on all the lights, and refused to move until my shift ended. That morning, I learned both residents had passed away within hours of each other. My neighbor is a killer. My mom told me this story when I was a teenager, and it still gives me chills. Back in her college days, she loved going out with friends to unwind. One evening, she went to a popular bar near campus. While she was there, a handsome man approached her. He introduced himself as a law student and struck up a conversation. She said he was charming, almost too charming. He bought her a drink, complimented her smile, and seemed genuinely interested in her. But something about him felt off. She couldn't put her finger on it, but a gut instinct told her to be careful. When he asked for her number, she politely declined and made an excuse to leave. A week later, his face was all over the news. He wasn't a law student, he was a serial killer who had been targeting young women in the area. The night my mom met him, he had already killed 2 victims and was looking for his next. She never went back to that bar again. Little children in the ICU. Working as a doctor in the ICU, you see a lot of strange things, but one phenomenon always stands out to me: the children. Over the years, I've noticed that patients who are near death often report seeing small children in their rooms. They describe them as silent, pale, and dressed in old-fashioned clothes. The children don't speak, they just watch. At first, I thought it was a hallucination caused by medication or oxygen deprivation, but the stories are always eerily consistent, even from patients who are fully lucid. One night, an elderly woman called me into her room. "Doctor," she whispered, "why are those children standing by the door? Shouldn't they be home at this hour?" There were no children. But she was insistent, even describing what they looked like. A few hours later, she passed away. It happens so often now that the nurses have a name for it, the watchers, and every time a patient mentions seeing them, we know the end is near. My dead grandmother called Maine. It was late at night when my phone buzzed with an incoming call. I groggily picked it up and glanced at the screen. The number was unfamiliar, but something compelled me to answer. "Hello," I mumbled. "Hello, sweetheart," a familiar voice said. "It's so good to hear your voice." My heart stopped. It was my grandmother, but she had died 2 years ago. I froze, unable to speak. Her voice was calm, just like I remembered, as if nothing was out of the ordinary. "Are you okay?" she asked. "I just wanted to check on you." Before I could respond, the call ended. The next day, I called the phone company to check the records, but there was no trace of the call. It was as if it had never happened. Now, every year on the anniversary of her death, I get a missed call from that same number. Let me know if these are chilling enough or if you'd like further adjustments.